You're listening to Mind Over Markets, a podcast on trading psychology to help you build a bulletproof mindset. Here's your hosts, George Papazov and Mark Borscht.
I have a really interesting question. What are the costs of
overtrading?
The true cost.
The true cost of overtrading. So we kind of categorize this into two categories. So number one, the first category is obviously the financial cost of overtrading, right? The second category is with regards to psychology, the psychological effect of overtrading. So let's cover the first one first. Overtrading, the true cost of overtrading as far as a financial standpoint is concerned, is the extra commissions that you pay. All right. As day traders, we're primarily day traders here. We do some swing trading, but a majority of our transactions in the markets are day trading. All right. And so as day traders, we are the most sensitive to commissions, right? Because we're not looking for as big of a move as a swing trader or a position trader might be looking for. And we're also going to be taking more trades on average. So commissions play a big role in our overall success, right? And so a lot of time in this industry, there's this big misconception that we see where, new traders, even somewhat experienced traders, they believe that you've always got to be in the market. You always have to be in a trade in order to make money. All right. This really couldn't be further from the truth because more trades doesn't necessarily mean more profits. Right. And
do I know that well?
Right. And, like I said, as day traders, we are very sensitive to those commissions. So a heavy trigger finger will likely keep your broker happy, but your account in a drawdown. All right. And that's not what we want. And what we typically tend to see, even in our community, is that a lot of members, when they join us and they join our trading room, they're often really surprised at how little we actually trade during any given session.
Right.
Why do you think that's the case, George?
Well, because the association is that the more trades you have, the more opportunity. You don't feel like a trader unless you're doing a trade. Mm-hmm. And I think that our job is looking for trades. Our job is not to take trades, it's to take good trades. And so if you eliminate the average trades to the poor trades, you know what I mean by those that you didn't qualify, that you did more on a whim than some kind of edge or part of your strategy. If you eliminate those trades, you're left with the good ones. And if you're left with good trades, whether they're losers or winners in the long run, I think they're going to bring the results that we're looking for. But for some reason, when you join this business trading, you think more action, more trades results in more success. But really the action is the analysis. Good analysis leads to a good trade, and you shouldn't have so much. It's almost like, that game, it's not really a game, but how like you put your finger or your hand down, palm down a table, and you just open up your fingers, kind of like move the knife between your fingers really quickly.
Yeah.
It's like hitting your finger each time and continuing to do it. It's like at some point you've just got to realize, look, if every time I do something, it leads to a loss, why would I continue to do more of it? And I think this is what overtrading is about. You're not overtrading good trades. You're just, you're overcompensating. You're trying. It's like sports. We bring it back to sports so much. It's like you haven't had a goal in 10 games, so you skate extra hard. What happens? The puck just skips over your stick. When you're trying so hard, it never happens. When you sit back in and let the flow kind of take you over, you do the right things at the right time.
Yeah. That's exactly the point I was trying to make there is, they're surprised at how little we trade during a given session because we're only looking for the high probability setups. And, given that markets tend to exhibit, random price action, a majority of the time, there's only going to be a handful of opportunities, a handful of quality opportunities to take advantage of.
Right.
And that's really the end goal, is to take advantage of those opportunities and to skip everything else. And in doing so, guess what we also skip out on? Paying a whole S load of commissions, right?
Yeah.
So that's one of the true costs of overtrading, is that it can drain your account very quickly, especially if you're going to be day trading.
Man, one of those days where like you fought all day to get back. Like let's say you start really bad. You're having a bad day. For whatever reason, you think you can shake it off and you just make it worse. And now you're down some big money.
Man, I've been there. I think a couple episodes back, we talked about patience.
Yeah.
And I talked on the day that I had around 60 trades or so. I think it was 62.
Holy moly, donut shop.
Or something like that. Yeah. And so guess what? I ended that day green in profit, or rather in points. But after all said and done, net, I was down. Guess who was happy? The broker.
That's where I was going with this.
Yeah,
That's exactly what I was going with.
I didn't make any money on that day. In fact, I huffed and I puffed and I worked hard and hard. And the only person making a paycheck that day was my broker.
Yeah, and I think it's important to mention that like there's two costs in this business. And I don't know if we cover this in the next section. No, we don't. But let's just very quickly skip over this. There's two costs. There's fixed costs, right? The fixed costs in a business are the platform fees, the software you're going to use to trade. All right, your internet bill. All right,
These are your operating costs.
Exactly, your operating costs. So electricity, the pen and paper you write on, every single thing that you consume in operation. Great. Then your variable costs are per trade. And so this is where each time you put a trade on, there's a cost to it. And the commission is one of those things.
Mm-hmm.
And guess what? Before you eat in this industry, everyone else before you in the lineup eats. You got to create enough of an opportunity for everyone else to thrive, and then you get paid last. And so this is why, for me, it's like, the broker is going to get paid right away as soon as you click the button. Right? The exchange gets paid from that. The broker gets split between so many different factors. If there's some left over, you get to keep it. And this is why when you're taking shots, you got to remember there's a variable cost. And I hate those days. Nothing for me is worse than coming back from a big day and then seeing my commission, seeing like, oh, hey, I was still down $500 and that's just commission. That's why I stopped counting commission as part of my trades. Very controversial topic.
It's a highly controversial topic in our community.
Yes.
But, kind of to that point, I had a similar day. I think it was last Tuesday or Wednesday. There was opportunity there. I think I took something like 18 trades.
Yeah.
Outside of my normal sweet spot. And I finished the day green, baby green, but I think after commissions, it was like a cup of coffee.
So here's the thing, Mark. I don't necessarily think that's Amp's fault, right? A lot of times we're like, oh, Amp is the person that made the money. But guess what? If you're screwing in a screw into furniture with a drill and it gets in there and you keep torquing it and the screw head snaps off, you can't be mad at the screw. You're just giving her. There's no, she's already.
You're just giving her, guys.
That's going to be the quotable of the episode. So it's the same thing. You can't be mad at the screw or the drill. You got to be mad at yourself, the operator. And I think trading is the exact same thing. So, that's the first thing. Of the true cost is commissions paid. The per transaction cost. It makes sense. If you have less transactions, you have less commission, which means more money in your account.
Exactly. Ideally, more money in the account. And so the second category here of the true costs of overtrading, this one has more to do with psychology, the psychological impact of overtrading. And I'm going to let George take this one on.
Oh, man, I shouldn't have talked so much.
You shouldn't have talked so much, man.
Common problem. Man, oh, man. I yap a lot. All right, so I think this one's more costly than the first one. And I see that as part of the show notes. Every single thing that you think and every action that you take creates a habit. And I don't think we realize that, right? Because we give so much importance to our logical thinking. We think that the things we can control are what's responsible for our outcome. The logical thought. If it's in my mind and I'm thinking about how to change things, I will change things. But the reality of the situation is, if you guys just revisit episode number 1, right? Only 0.006% of all the decisions being made are done on a logical level. That means you're only aware of 0.004% decisions you make. Other 99.94, all right? 99.94 decisions that are being made on a daily basis are done without your awareness, by your unconscious mind. Think about that. So what you think you control is just the tip of the iceberg. So how is this important? And so if you continue to trade and you're generating losses, you're not just generating losses for one day, you're generating habits. You're generating repeatable programs. And so I'll give you an example. Have you ever been burned with a lighter before? Have you ever been burned with anything? Have you burned yourself?
I may have happened to do that once or twice, yes.
Do you remember the story or no?
I have a story. I have multiple stories, but I can definitely do a story, yeah.
Yeah. When was the first time? The first time in your life you can remember where you got burned by something, fire, like hot, ouch.
I don't know. Probably when I was a kid messing around in the kitchen. My mom was cooking something. I think it was something with probably pasta or something like that. It was water. I just remember it was
water?
It was water, yeah.
And so before you did whatever you did, Mark, you probably weren't aware that water burns. Or maybe you were, but you didn't know how badly.
I think it was probably a bit more of the latter.
Yeah, you didn't know how badly, right? You know that it hurts, but you don't know it directly. You know that your parents told you. So what I'm getting at is I have a story like that too. My grandmother said, don't touch the stovetop. 2 hands, whack, right on top, super hot. So it's like once you get burned, now you know when you see fire, what do you think? Oh my gosh, I'm going to get burned, right? And this is what you're doing in your trading account. It's like you generate all these trades, and then you're creating the pattern that trades equals loss, right? Getting close to fire equals getting burned. And you might say, oh, well, I'm not generating that habit, but you are, because your unconscious mind knows that the losses you're creating means that they're going to affect your lifestyle. So as you're busy creating these trading habits, what you're telling your mind is, I'm not good at being around fire. But fire is a useful tool, especially if you're cold.
Thanks for listening to the Mind Over Market podcast. You can find us at TradeProAcademy.com.